guess we'll watch him anyway. I feel really bad for looking for this match because DeckOfManyThings had a really interesting list set up ahead of time, but it looks like him and his opponent are both playing Cressida, so we will get to see another Elf mirror match. The Cressida on Cressida action with the turn 1 Ashwood Soloist on the board. And both players playing fairly quickly. It looks like we'll likely get another match out of this. Remind me to poke DeckOfManyThings later and remind him that he's a baddie. They just have to whisper back to you? Awesome. So F5 shooter letting everyone know, you can just whisper your opponent and then you can right click them through there. We see the Ageless Troubadour on turn 3.
Elves everywhere.
It is a lot of elves. This is a very powerful situation with elves. We see Carnosaurus coming up from Fobes. An interesting 2-drop double wild threshold dinosaur. It's a 2/2 that may battle another troop when it comes into the board, and when you battle, you gain 2 health. Health gain, of course, very important in this format, like we were just talking about. Do you think that's a good answer to this sort of matchup, Hacky, or?
In general, Carnosaurus is a 2-cost 2 damage to a troop, and in this case, cards like Ageless Troubadour would create many more resources, perhaps opening the way for Titania's Majesty or anything like that. But it probably didn't matter too much. Soloist gave a resource. He's at 3, and Cressida's power would have gotten to 5. So I think that's just to stop any further damage, because that for lack of anything else in hand, that would have been another 2 damage to the face, canceling out that health gain.
Mm-hmm. We do see a second Carnosaur hitting the board, taking out the Soloist. More health gain. So, do you know how Crocosaur works if there's only one troop on the board?
If he's the only one, if there's no target,
well, if there's only one target,
he has the option to battle it.
No. This is a comment. I almost tried to trap you in there. I kind of thought you would know, and you would call me out on it. But this is a good time to tell people. Crocosaur cannot battle one target, ever.
Oh, Crocosaur. I thought you meant Carnosaurus.
Yes. My mistake. My mistake.
It's 2 or nothing. You don't even get the option if there is only one troop on the opponent's board.
I was talking about that because there was a Crocosaur in DeckOfManyThings' hand, but it was relevant purely because you can keep one troop on the board to keep yourself safe from that line of play if you ever want. It's very rarely necessary, but
every little thing helps. I mean, it's such a powerful card. It's on its own wild using that answer. And it's, of course, it's also on a 5/6 for 5. Pretty beefy 5-drop troop. That swag Titania's Majesty. It's extended art. I'm surprised I haven't seen more extended art cards. That's what I would do. I'd be like, here's $10. I'm going to extended art my entire deck. If I were playing.
But remember, extended art is from gold only.
There's many people putting dust on the auction house, so until that supply dries up, I'm pretty sure that if I had some platinum, I could find some dust. There's no shortage at the moment. Last I checked. But Lethal Lyricist is not going to stop a lot of this damage. Crocosaur is a fairly large troop to begin with. And the Mayor Minstrels at 2/3. I mean, a lot of two attack things we've seen from Fobes board. And that Pupil of Creation this late. I guess it's not really that late. It's only a 1-drop, and it's now a 3/3 as the second Titania's Majesty is played. The first one didn't see too much. It saw the Lethal Assist. This one will hit a mark. A Deck of Many Things is at 22, so
A safe health total, kind of. I had to deal with a little bit of judge stuff in the background that normally I wouldn't have to, but coming back to this board state, it is certainly a thing.
it's certainly interesting that Pupil of Creation, whenever a 5-cost card is played, it gets +1/+1 and gets that counter for potential Eye of Creation +2/+2, and it gets that counter for potential Eye of Creation like things. I mean, it is the Pupil of Creation. Fobes trying to decide who to attack with. Calamity is almost the obvious choice, and there it is.
Yeah, well, he can only swing with Calamity and Leaf this turn, correct? The Pupil is fresh on the board. Wouldn't swing with Leaf here. Deck of Many Things likely just takes this on the chin. Has to try to keep his board open for a lethal counter swing if it's available. Now, here's the second piece of text that sometimes gets overlooked because it's rarely relevant. If Walking Calamity dies, it deals 10 damage to the entire opposing board, troops and face, which is just brutal. Deck of Many Things, I can tell you, even without card blocker here, is in trouble. Uses a Feral Root Acorn to gain a 3rd health.
He has enough defense here to not die from the Walking Calamity attack. The only real problem is he can't kill it back, and killing it back would be fatal anyway.
Yeah, he needs to survive a turn and then deal lethal damage on his next turn.
So, top deck Titania's Majesty hit Walking Calamity?
Yeah, it would be enough at this point. So Deck of Many Things has to survive, and top deck essentially exactly that. How is Jadeem or Eye of Creation any more powerful than Calamity is now?
This is an unfortunate turn of events. Deck of Many Things can get to 9 resources, but not enough to play that Walking Calamity.
The Walking Calamity just drew. Yeah. We do have a hand blocker over him, but he is going to concede this match, so we can freely talk. He top decked a Calamity, not a Titania. Oh. Well, we won't talk about that, but
a little spicy.
Oh, how are the old pre-nerf versions? Well, that's hard to say. It was other cards being available makes Calamity what it is. If Walking Calamity existed in set 1 and 2, it wouldn't be the powerhouse that it is now. Eye of Creation decks would have been more powerful, that's for certain. Walking Calamity, really on its own, also got isn't a huge problem. But in addition to that, it also got a little bit of a buff prior from its reveal to its announcement in-game. It can no longer be interrupted, which is kind of a powerful addition to it.
You can't stop the sudden but inevitable destruction or betrayal. Whatever. Same thing. But combine this with stuff like Jadeem with the Walking Calamity entering play, 15 attack. Some big wild dreams to be had. I wonder.
They're wild in a lot of ways, yeah.
I want to see the full constructed meta. That should be coming up
Next,
in the next month. Huh?
next month, yeah. The second weekend of September will be the Sapphire Cup, which will be all a free reign constructed, unless, of course, a patch comes out that makes available a limited tournament option.
Such is the dream, the Sapphire Cup. All right, we're getting into game 2 now. DeckOfManyThings will take the play. Mulligan's down to 6. His opponent doing the same. Even ground at the moment.
I'd still like to point out, and I will do this every community tournament, just in case there's a Hex Entertainment employee listening. The mulligan rules in Hex are crap. Please fix. Mulligan should be rotational, and I cannot imagine there's a world where I can mull to 5 before my opponent makes a decision. Hashtag scorn. Hashtag change those mulligans. So we see the soloist on the board, followed up with a Lithe Lyricist, a Leith Lyricist, a Litha Lyricist, however you want to pronounce it.
I like Leith Lyricist. I like that one.
Well,
Leith, that one.
I believe Leith is correct.
Leith.
Leith? The Leith Lyricist. It should just play like a really sweet guitar riff when it comes onto the board. Fobes with no turn 2 play. DeckOfManyThings going to swing in again here for a little more DiMaggio, taking his opponent down to 17. It's interesting because in pretty much every game we've seen today, health totals above 10 haven't really been safe anyway. And we see DeckOfManyThings just developing the board. Yes,
the elf aggro now.
Leith does rhyme with teeth. I know. Or tithe. Live with tithe. Or teeth. Tithe? Teeth?
Tithe.
See, this is where the issue comes from. Everyone knows what you mean, though. Here's another interesting thought. The Titania's Majesty being played with the Spell Shield socket, that will grab either Balthazar or Tempestuous Blade Dancer for DeckOfManyThings here. It's incredibly unlikely that he grabs the Merry Minstrels. Your opponent does get to see what you choose from here, so a little bit of your deck tech will be spoiled. Balthazar will draw 2 and gain 3 health if it enters the board here. Once again, the community crying out about the original wording of Balthazar, somehow getting it to change. You all made Corey very sad.
We just need an alternate art version that has the correct text.
I'm gonna keep trolling. I'm gonna keep trolling the chat about the pronunciation of Litha just to annoy them.
Yeah, it would
Lithograph Lyricist?
The extended art would do the original if you zoomed in on it.
Does it?
No, I wish it would.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Guare says that he's pretty sure that's just a bug. I hope so.
We did learn in a lot of the interviews. Keep going.
DeckOfManyThings with a kind of scary board state here. He is still susceptible to a straight-up Walking Calamity, but he's got this huge board presence, and his opponent really hasn't played anything yet. So just kind of at this rate, he's in a good spot to just keep swinging in and slowly chip away at Phobe's health.
This is kind of the elf version of a weenie deck, though, just very much more costed than 1 or 2.
Oh, the word is pronounced balloon. It's a French word. Thank you for the clarification, Mike. So the balloon lyricist is, of course, only with 1 attack, which is kind of its downside here. We'll see what Phobes can do with 5 resources here. He plays a Crocosaur, and he can choose to destroy any 2 of the troops on DeckOfManyThings board that aren't Balthazar. Balthazar, of course, having Spell Shield, making it non-targetable even by Crocosaur's mighty snapping jaws.
I might have preferred even Balthazar being eaten at the moment. It's not doing much. Its interplay effect is done.
Interestingly, chooses both Lithe Lyricist, trying to take away DeckOfManyThings' ability to produce resources. It won't stop him from playing Titania's Majesty this turn. Titania's Majesty gonna show a bunch of small little elves that DeckOfManyThings not too proud of here.
The downside of Titania's Majesty, sometimes it hits, and sometimes you see the rest of your deck.
Yep. That Merry Minstrels will come onto the board, create a wild shard for DeckOfManyThings, who will then pass the turn. He can't swing into the Crocosaur safely here without losing a troop. He is able to go wide and get a little bit of damage through, but the backswing is kind of a big issue.
See, more Carnosaurus shenanigans. There's really only one target it's going to it has, and that's to eat the Ashwood Soloist, who's pretty much done its job. But damage is damage. Crocosaurus choosing not to swing either. Probably keeping itself up for the defense. And interestingly, is going to attack with both of the Merry Minstrels. Obviously, Crocosaurus can completely stop and block one.
Now, what this does do is leave the Crocosaur for defense.
So before that happened, the Crocosaur couldn't kill both of them and would die in the process. Crocosaur for Carnosaurus isn't the greatest trade in the world, but with that attack, it did set up that double battle. Crocosaur will still die in the process, taking 7, but will apply its 5 attack to both of those troops.
Even if the first troop you select would kill the Crocosaur, it does deal damage to both regardless. Fobes follows up with a Leaf Lyricist. He's not playing resources, so his hand must be stacked full of expensive drops.
Feral Root Acorn helping with the health buffer now. DeckOfManyThings at 26 health. And the Lyricist is the only thing on board. DeckOfManyThings whittle.
Merry Minstrels.
DeckOfManyThings is going to start whittling that health. That's what happens when elf decks can't get their thing done. They've got lots of ramp. Into what? But Fobes is at 5 resources now, so if he had something that costed 5, he could do it. He used his last Cressida power to get that Crocosaurus out. The Leaf Lyricist has him at 5 again, and it looks like it is time for Titania's Majesty. Also does not see a big hulking thing, but does see a Tempestuous Blade Dancer, which is going to be what is picked.
Yeah, which is a fairly good troop all on its own. 4/4 crush, steadfast.
Yep, crush, steadfast, speed. An interesting combination of abilities. And all of a sudden, that health buffer is gone. 4 damage from Tempestuous Blade Dancer gaining the gem's power. 4 damage from that attack. Balthasar would only stop 2 of that due to crush. DeckOfManyThings. An Ashwood Soloist, a resource. Enough to block and kill that Tempestuous Blade Dancer. Now, folks, fully at 5 resources.
Has another Crocosaur to lay down, which will take out the Merry Minstrels and the Ashwood Soloist here.
Balthasar, surviving oh so long, watching his comrades fall, will probably regale with tales of their bravery in battle. Regale those surviving.
With the Exiled Bard being added to the game, adding the Bard trait to the game, I think Balthasar probably could have been a Bard.
I almost think that is Exiled Bard a human bard?
Yes, I believe.
So not strictly a class, but can be used by later things. I would agree. Balthasar could have been a bard. And a Titania's Majesty, that's the second one on Fobes side. This one does hit a mark.
Yeah, it does hit the Calamity. DeckOfManyThings actually doesn't have an answer to this. He is now dead to this, which will seal out the match. interesting because Deck of Many Things seem to be commanding the board this whole time, but if Majesty doesn't hit the cards that you want it to, it can be just the opposite end here.
On the one hand, it was 5 troops on the board at once, but they were also fairly small. All 1/2s, 2/3s. That's not what really you think about when you have a commanding board, especially in a deck that tends to play big things. All it takes is one of those Crocosaurs eat these little guys for brunch.
Ashwood Blade Master can certainly fix that up.